We got this.
Good evening and welcome. I now call to order our regular scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting for June 2nd. First order of business tonight is the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Mayor Pro Tem Gardner to lead us in our invocation, and then afterward we're going to have an entire group of exciting kids up front that are going to be recognized here shortly tonight in our board meeting, but they're also going to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll be learning more about all the great things that they're doing in our community also here shortly. So we'll first start out with our invocation. If you would, please stand.
Let us bow. Dear Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day and for this wonderful town. We gather in your honor tonight and in honor of this town. We are grateful for all the many blessings that we have in Fuquay-Varina, and we are proud tonight to recognize some of our young people and get started with a budget for a new year and just lots of things on the agenda for this evening. And we ask your guidance as we make decisions that they be pleasing in your sight and for the best of the citizens of this town. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Let's give those kids a round of applause, please, for that right there. Some of them told me they were just now learning that in school, and I said, don't worry, you will do a great job. And so they did a very, very good job here today. Thank y'all so much for helping me. Next is our meeting protocol. At this time, I ask Town Manager Mitchell to review the meeting protocol for public participation as it relates to this meeting. Adam, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Board. Tonight's Town Board meeting is both in person and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Tonight's meeting contains a public comment period and 5 scheduled public hearings. The public is invited to comment in person. When it is the appropriate time, Mayor Massengill will call on those wishing to address the Town Board. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the Town Board during the public comment period should provide your name and address on the green registration sheet by the podium prior to the public comment period beginning. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the Town Board during the scheduled public hearings should provide your name and address on the white registration sheet by the podium. We ask all those wishing to address the Town Board, either during a public comment period or a scheduled public hearing, to begin their comments by clearly stating their name and address for the public record. The public is asked to keep all comments to 3 minutes so that all that wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. To be respectful of those that may have different views on matters addressed by the Town Board, we ask that all in attendance respect the decorum of the meeting by refraining from clapping, making loud noises, and generally showing support or displeasure for comments made during the public comment period or public hearings. Police Captain Walsh will be asked to escort from the boardroom anyone not respecting the process, and it is the discretion of the mayor as presiding officer as to whether to continue the public comment and or public hearings if the meeting protocol was not followed. This concludes the protocol for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Manager. Next item of business is the approval of minutes from the May 20th, 2025 regular scheduled meeting. Any changes or additions to the minutes? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor Massengill, I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. First presentation tonight is a recognition of our Arts Center dance team. More information about the agenda item will be presented by Arts Director Daly.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners,
evening.
Managers.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here. And about a year ago, I had a similar pleasure when I was able to introduce you to the inaugural dance team from the Fuquay-Varina Art Center that did us proud. They had a wonderful, successful season, brought home 28 awards. Tonight, I'm thrilled to introduce you to our 16-member dance team, all of whom are here, and to also give a great shout out to the mothers and the fathers and the support that enables them to do wonderful things on behalf of our town. Just a little bit of background very quickly. Our team is chosen after auditions. They attend a 1-week-long choreography camp, which is a boot camp to learn all kinds of routines. Routines take the form of group dances, as well as solos, duos, trios, small groups. They rehearse twice a week for about the first 7-8 months of the year before they start going to competition. You register to go to a variety of different competitions. This year they went to 3 competitions and 1 convention. A convention has classes as well as a competition. So they go off, they take other dance classes at the Art Center or maybe at one of their other studios, as well as rehearsing twice a week while they're getting ready to go to competition. These are truly incredibly creative athletes that you'll meet tonight. And then they go off to their competitions where they perform this repertoire of group and solo, small group, duo, trio kind of dances. They repeat those dances each time they go to competition in various numbers and formats. It's exciting and it's fun. And this year, as of 2 weeks ago, going to 3 competitions and 1 convention, this team of 16 brought back to Fuquay 104 awards.
Wow.
104. And I will tell you that 2 of those awards, in my mind, particularly stand out. And those awards are anywhere from their gold, their silver, their platinum, their first place, third place, 6th place, anything that's placed and awarded. We have some trophies, some loving cups on a big shelf in the hallway there going to the dance studio. But 2 of the awards in particular, at one competition, this group was awarded the Infectious Energy Award. And at another competition, they were awarded sportsmanship, best sportsmanship. And I think those speak highly, incredibly highly, about not only the dancers themselves, but their coaches and the whole attitude that they bring to being part of a competitive dance team. So I'd like to introduce you all, first and foremost, to Jennifer Rankin. She's our program coordinator at the Art Center. Jennifer also manages this team. She makes sure they have rooms. She makes sure that the teachers are all coordinated. She makes sure that everything happens and rolls well. And then I'd like to introduce you to Jordan Davis. Where's Jordan? Jordan Davis and Ashley Avent. They are the head coaches for this team. And then Cora Vick and Tammy Davis, who are assistants to the coaching of this group. All right. Now, beyond that, I'm going to give Jennifer the joy of introducing you to our 24-25 dance team.
Maureen, Jennifer, before you do that, I just want the parents to know if you need to move around and be able to take a picture of your child, feel welcome to. It's perfectly okay.
All right, I'm going to call you by name. You ready? All right, Kate Criswell. Savannah Criswell. Jay Arginal. Trinity Davis. Zoe Detweiler. Abby Hills. Tegan Hopkins. Katia Johnson. Santina Mantovani. Mercy Mitchell. Braylon Riley. Kinsley Sullivan. Avery Terry. Bailey Terry. Delaney Terry. Grace Zimmerman.
We
You can't
are
see
so.
You can't see their feet, but they're all doing the stand.
the stand- Hold on, Susan.
That's what they do.
1 minute.
So sorry.
Susan. First of all, thank y'all so much for coming here tonight on our board meeting and be able to let us all celebrate with y'all on this exciting achievement and what you've been doing. On behalf of myself and the entire board here and all of Fuquay-Varina, we are so proud of y'all representing us on the dance team here, and this is just incredible with the words that were spoken about y'all. How many awards were won and how great you've done. 104 awards. I'm not sure we've ever had a team here in one night that said they won 104 awards. So that is pretty cool right there. And be able to come up here and do the stand also at the same time. This is impressive, and I'm hoping some of y'all can teach me how to do that someday right there too, because that is very, very impressive, and we're very proud of y'all. And you can turn while doing it right there too. So, very good. And to the parents in here, thank y'all so much for allowing your children to be involved with the Fuquay-Varina programs, and the volunteers and coaches and the arts department. Y'all have worked hard. Thank y'all so much for what you're doing. We'd love to all take a picture with these kids up here and celebrate this exciting time for them. Let's give them another round of applause.
Okay. We got any poses here? We just all gonna smile.
Just one. Sorry. Yeah, I got about 50.
Hey, thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. Congratulations again, and that was a great Pledge of Allegiance. Thank y'all so much for helping us out here tonight, too. Parents, they probably would love to have some ice cream tonight before they go to bed, too, for being so good here tonight at our board meeting. But you're welcome to exit. You're welcome to stay as long as you like, but if you'd like to leave, too, we understand. Next item on our agenda will be item 4B, and this is a proclamation for Parks and Recreation Month. I know we have a variety of our town staff members that are here today that work in our Parks and Rec department. If you work here in the Parks and Rec departments, will you please stand, if not already standing, so that everybody can hear, can see as I speak about you too. And so, Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources, thank y'all for being here tonight. And these men and women that are in this room right here, they play a vital impact on activities throughout Fuquay-Varina. Some people may think of these groups as simply different areas that they're being involved in. Whether you're involved in over 300 acres of parks in Fuquay-Varina, whether you're involved at our senior center, you're involved at youth sports, adult sports, a variety of different activities, you're impacted. Even cooking classes. It's just so many programs that this organization offers here in Fuquay-Varina, and is constantly winning accolades and being recognized for doing a great job. Our citizens really, really enjoy what you do in town, and we appreciate y'all. You do a great job representing Fuquay-Varina, and I would like to read this proclamation tonight, recognizing y'all in appreciation. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country and are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas the town of Fuquay-Varina Park, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department's mission is to enrich community members through active participation in a lifelong learning, health, and wellness, community involvement, and recreational activities. And whereas the town of Fuquay-Varina Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department strives to enrich the lives of our community members through opportunities for lifelong learning, health and wellness, community involvement, and recreational activities. And whereas for more than 4 decades, the town of Fuquay-Varina has demonstrated a commitment to these values by developing and maintaining a park system designed to provide citizens with places to play, learn, connect, and engage. And whereas the town of Fuquay-Varina has a well-loved park system comprised of 17 parks, greenways, and trails totaling 300 acres of parkland, which along with recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, now therefore, I, Blake Massengill, Mayor of the town of Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim July 2025 as Parks and Recreation Month in the town of Fuquay-Varina. I encourage all residents to celebrate by enjoying our local parks and trails, participating in recreational activities, and recognizing the many benefits these spaces and programs offer our community. You know, I encourage you during that month for the public, meet any one of these individuals out there, attend our different parks, sign up for a program. Maybe there's a class you haven't taken before, a program that's offered right there. Many of our town events are put on by our Parks and Rec department, all the way from our Follow Me to Fuquay-Varina concert series to our upcoming 4th of July Independence Day celebration that's located right here in town. So there's a lot of programs, a lot of opportunities right there. And so thank y'all for being here tonight. Let's give these men and women a round of applause, please. Thank you. Next, we have the public comment period. At this time, the town clerk will call on individuals that are in attendance and have registered to address the town board prior to the meeting. The public comment period is a time for the public to address the town board about any matter that is not the subject of a scheduled public hearing. Those speaking are asked to begin by clearly stating your name and address for the public record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes in order that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. Teresa, do you have anybody signed up?
One is Elizabeth Parent.
Elizabeth Parent?
Good evening. I have a lot to say, so I'm going to speed read with feeling. Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Parent. I live at 904 Oldwick Drive, Fuquay-Varina. I'm here as a representative of the Fuquay-Varina Pride Celebration, here to thank you in advance for approving our event, which is on your consent agenda this evening. Our 4th annual Pride Celebration will be held on Saturday, June 28th. We are excited for the several events being hosted around town in honor of Pride, but our signature strut will be held at 10 a.m. at Falcon Park, and our raffle, which benefits the LGBT Center of Raleigh, will take place at the Pride Festival at Mason Jar Lager Company from noon to 3. Each year, we have 3 main goals. First, to create a safe and fun space for the greater community to gather and celebrate the strength, resilience, and contributions made by the LGBTQ community. We accomplish this goal in part with the help from the many staff members involved during the planning process, and we are grateful for their kindness and patience when we ask questions and express concerns. Second, to benefit the LGBT Center of Raleigh, which we have each year through raffles and merchandise sales. Our third goal is to expand LGBTQ programming beyond the single day designated in June. This year, I'm proud to share that we have accomplished that with several businesses expanding their programming to include year-round LGBTQ events. If you asked anyone involved in the planning process in 2022 the impact that we thought the event might have on the community or ourselves, we would have no idea. We were hoping 30 people would attend. To our surprise, 30 people attended, plus 300. Speaking for myself, I almost threw up nearly 10 times. I think I say this every year, but nothing stresses me out more than this event. One of you asked me why I continue supporting this event if it's so stressful. And at the time, I didn't have a concrete answer, but I've thought about that question ever since. And at the end of our first event in 2022, a gentleman came up and thanked me and said with tears in his eyes that he had been in a very dark place for a long time, but that our event made him feel less alone. Year 2, a grandma, a mom, and a daughter were getting ready to walk in the strut. The mom turned to the grandma and said, "I love you, Mom. Thank you for being here to support us." The grandma turned to her and said, "I love you too." Quiet but powerful moments. I will never forget, Marilyn, you may recall this too, good old Celebrate Fuquay-Varina 2023, when an elder couple came to me, asked me some questions, including how I sleep with my husband, before telling me to kill myself. That's when I knew my answer to the question. I know how debilitating the feeling of being alone can be, or fear of potential violence, or being shamed for who you love or who you are. For as long as cruel behavior exists, events that celebrate our differences must continue in order to heal the experienced bigotry. That's why I've continued. For the past 2 years, I've chaired this planning committee, and I'm so proud of each past, present planning committee member, sponsors, and supporting business owners and individuals. This, however, will be my final year, as my family and I are moving back to good old rural Western Washington State. at the beginning of July. It's bittersweet to leave a community that I've planted many roots in, but I've lived and I've learned a lot, especially while in this room and from each of you. Now, I'd like to
Elizabeth, do ask you to finish up your thoughts.
Okay,
Timer
it's
has gone off.
2 sentences. Now, I hope you take the time to learn from us and finally join us for any events planned in honor of Pride in Fuquay-Varina. And since this had
Elizabeth,
better
thank
be
you for
my
your comments.
last.
Timer's gone off several
Thank you so
times.
much.
Thank you, ma'am. Teresa, do you have anybody else signed up?
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it? Okay. All right, public comment period is now over. We're moving to public hearings. Public hearings are a time for the petitioner to present his or her request and for the public to give input and voice their favor or opposition to the request. If you wish to speak and are physically in attendance, please step forward to the podium one at a time. Provide your name and address on the registration log at the podium and clearly state your name and address for the public record. We ask all those addressing the town board to please limit your comments to 3 minutes in order that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. First public hearing, item 7A, zoning map amendment and land use plan amendment, Concept 8 Holdings LLC, 305 Jones Road, REZ-2024-13. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Plan Director Davison. Pam, good evening.
Good evening. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a requested zoning map amendment for a total of 4.42 acres located at 305 Jones Road from the residential low-density zoning district to the residential high-density conditional zoning district and the corresponding land use plan amendment from the town center residential classification to the multifamily neighborhood classification. The proposed conditions include limiting the allowed use, a townhouse development, capping the overall density, incorporating a site-specific development plan, and setting architectural standards that ensure variety and prevent monotony. The development plan proposes 41 townhomes, preservation of existing trees, an expanded evergreen landscape buffer on the western property boundary, and active open space to include a dog park, open lawn, park shelter, and picnic area. The development serves to transition development density and intensity between the apartments to its east and the single-family lots to its west. The development will also construct Jones Road in the existing right-of-way along its northern boundary and provide pedestrian connections along both the Judd Parkway and Jones Road frontages. Here's an example of the elevations. The requested zoning district and land use plan amendment is consistent with the 2040 land use plan and supports the land use plan's goals of supporting infill development, reinvestment in downtown neighborhoods, managing growth in priority infrastructure areas, and encouraging transitional uses and intensities. At its regular meeting on May 19, 2025, the Planning Board unanimously recommended approval. The suggested motion tonight is to approve REZ 2024-13, a zoning map amendment for 305 Jones Road from the residential low-density zoning district to the residential high-density conditional zoning district, and the corresponding land use plan amendment from the town center residential classification to the multifamily neighborhood classification, as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff. I am available to answer any questions.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
On the, just a question on the site plan. There's a main road through this, and then there are 2 stubs kind of coming off from it. The top one at the end of that stub, cul-de-sac, whatever, I'm not sure what to call it, looks like a hammerhead end on where you could turn around. I'm wondering about the other one. If you had a garbage truck or a fire truck or something go down that, would they be able to turn around?
No, and these would be alleys, so they wouldn't require potentially, well, they're shorter than 150 feet, which is where, that is our trigger for requiring a physical turnaround.
Okay.
In all likelihood, we have not gotten into the details of trash collection and things like that, but many times in alley situations, we come up with solutions depending on how these roads work with the turning radiuses of the trucks. Sometimes the residents do pull them out to the main public road. Sometimes we do make accommodations in the alleys. So that is details that we didn't get into.
Why was the, why is there the, why does the one on the top have that parking area at the end?
Probably to provide some extra parking. It might be for a mail kiosk or the dog park, or that was a choice they made.
But during design, that's one of the things you look at as far as the trash trucks going in and being able to pick up the trash and making sure they can put them where.
Yes, that would all be
They can be
clarified on the
accessed,
preliminary plan. It'll be stated where that trash collection will happen. If there has to be a cordoned off area that is identified for trash trucks, we work with Public Works.
Would you also work with the fire department and have a representative of the fire department to review the plans?
Yes, fire reviews every plan. The other thing would be required with the preliminary site plan would be a truck turning radius study that shows actually that I believe they're 49 feet, 6 inches long, that those trucks that would be servicing this can make all the various turns.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Pam, follow-up question Charlie had, but the road that's adjacent to this property, Jones Road right here, looks like on our staff map, it shows it all as existing public right-of-way there, with partially improved and partially not improved. Am I looking at that map correctly?
That is correct. So there would be no road dedication along the Jones Road frontage. That public right-of-way is there, but it has not been constructed. So they would be constructing the road to town specifications to make that connection.
So it's an existing right-of-way there? Okay. Okay. We'll hold a public hearing if no other board member questions yet. Okay. Thank you, Director Davison. The hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment and land use plan amendment?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Town Board. My name is John Adcock, the Adcock Law Firm at 202 East Academy Street. For the stated reasons in the staff report and the application, the rezoning amendment and the land use amendment are consistent with the stated purposes, intent, and policies of the Land Development Ordinance and the town's land use plan, and are reasonable and in the public's interest. The property is located within the Judd Parkway Tier 1 infrastructure investment area, and this project will maximize return on the town's investments in public facilities and infrastructure. Existing public utilities will be optimized. Transportation improvements will promote greater vehicular connectivity and improve access for emergency vehicles. This project will have pedestrian connectivity to South Park Community Center and Park, the Jeff Wells Trail, the Carroll Johnson Environmental Education Park, Fleming Loop Park, Fuquay Mineral Springs Park, and the Fuquay Downtown District. The rezoning has extensive conditions. These include density limitations, use limitations, anti-monotony provisions, architectural standards, and buffering that exceeds the town's requirements. From a land use perspective, the current zoning of this property is inconsistent with the land use plan. This property being located inside the Judd Parkway Loop, the land use plan calls for areas inside the Judd Parkway Loop to have greater compact urban style type development, and that is what this project will bring. The proposed use and its density will be an appropriate transition between the existing single-family medium density subdivision to the west and the higher density zoned existing apartment complex to the east. There are no sensitive environmental features present on this property. The applicant was the builder of the Spring Townhomes located at the intersection of Spring Avenue and West Vance Street in downtown. The Springs Townhome project was a highly successful residential project, one of the first new residential developments in downtown. Approval of this rezoning and land use plan amendment will result in this vacant lot being transformed into a high-quality infill residential development within the Judd Parkway Loop. I have with me tonight Lewis Hardy and Jason Meadows. They're the site designers for this project, and I'm glad to answer or address any questions the board may have.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment and land use plan amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment and land use plan amendment? If you would, please come forward. If you've signed up, you'll state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Marie Regan. I'm at 623 Monterey Pine Drive. I'm right on the corner of Jones Road and Monterey Pine Drive, where you'll be opening up Jones Road. We've had issues with Jones Roads before. I don't know if you know that there's now barriers there that they can't continue through because we had cars going up and down this little hill. So the town came in and they put some barriers there that they couldn't do that anymore. A lot of it had to do with the house that was behind us, some illegal activity going on, but we still have cars that run up and down that road. They can't come through anymore, but they try. And to me, it's a hazard. I mean, you're opening up this road that's, you know, you're lucky one car parks. If you have two cars parked, there's no fire engines or ambulances coming through there. There's not enough room. The road is too narrow. I live right on the corner. That means my fence is going to be knocked down possibly because the road is so narrow. It's just very frustrating to be there so many years and all of a sudden, you know, we're losing the quietness of the neighborhood. You're opening us up on all sides. You're building 42 homes there. You're building 100 homes, all townhomes behind us. You know, we're a little development, and you're just ripping us apart. That's one issue I have. The second issue is, where are they going to park on the 4th of July? That's the parking lot for the fireworks. What about the turkey hawks? They're protected. You're ripping down their homes. I mean, these are things that aren't being taken into consideration. And what else do I have? Drainage. We have an issue with drainage because it's on a slump, so it's going to run right up into our backyards. We're a little nervous about the whole thing. You know, my main concern is Jones Road. I know I'm talking, you know, I know there's nothing I can do to make you change your mind that you're going to do this anyway, but consider not opening Jones Road. I think that's just a nightmare waiting to happen with cars coming up Judd Parkway at rush hour, cutting through our neighborhood, going up just to beat the light on the corner. It's horrible now at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon where you can't get in and out of the neighborhood. That is going to make it so much more worse. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Asher Schweigert. I'm 300 Old Spring Hill Lane, Fuquay-Varina. That is just off of Jones Lane, which is part of the proposed connection that we're talking about here, which is also my concern with this. I have no problem with the proposed zoning change, but the connection of Jones Road and Jones Lane will absolutely invite people to cut through where the previous woman's house is and my house is, two different developments. They will cut through that to avoid that light. And looking at the proposed plan, they'll probably also cut through the actual development as well that would be built just to avoid that light, which would drastically increase traffic. There's cars speeding down there where children play and get dropped off from school. There's people walking to go to the local Dollar Tree right there. Like I said, no problem with actually building the houses, but connecting Jones Road is just a really bad idea. Jones Road and Jones Lane should remain separate. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Good evening. My name's Susan Moore. I live at 627 Monterey Pine Drive, and I would request that you keep it low-density housing. It's currently zoned to have 16 homes there, and if you look at the plan, there's no transition from our small ranch homes that are on one side going into these larger townhomes that are 3 stories high. I've pointed out to the developer, my concern is that we do live a little bit down. It's about a 4-foot drop, but it's a graded drop. And with a 3-story home behind us, a townhome, their back deck is going just to look over my home. I understand that there's OPEG planning there for vegetation, but it's going to take years before it's up to 15 feet high to help me with my privacy. I'm not anti-development. I really, really love our town. As you can see, I saw Jerry here from the Parks and Recs. You guys do an awesome job, and I don't want to be one of those people that say, no, no, no. I just am asking for consideration of the use of my home that I love so much in living here, that it doesn't infringe upon my privacy. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm Katie Biazzi, and I'm at 462 Timber Meadow Lake Drive, and that's in the Southern Oaks neighborhood. That is where, down the road from where this zoning is happening. I wrote it on my phone, so. Rezoning from low density to high density will have negative impacts on the town of Fuquay-Varina. It will cause overcrowding and a strain on the infrastructure. Examples include an increase in property taxes because, for instance, the schools already cannot handle the amount of students in the county. So they will need to build more schools, which is going to increase people's property taxes to get the funds for these buildings, these schools. And it will have an increase in costs for infrastructure such as utilities and garbage collection because there will be more people that will be needing these services. It will also have a negative impact on the environment. It will increase traffic, pollution, and noise. It will have a strain on our water and energy resources, and there will be habitat destruction. How many dead turtles I have seen on the side of the road, dead deers, dead opossums on the side of our roads. It's unbelievable. So in conclusion, when making your decision, one needs to consider what is best for the community and the negative impacts it would have on the community. Ask yourself, is this what the current residents of Fuquay-Varina want? And how is rezoning this property good for the current residents of this town? And also, I am for growth, but you need to consider smart growth when you're growing a town, not sprawl, not uncontrolled growth. So please consider smart growth when growing our town of Fuquay-Varina. Thank you.
Anybody else signed up, Teresa? Okay. All right, the hearing's now closed. Moving to board discussion and questions for staff. Pam, probably best to start with you. I know I have some questions myself for you. Looking at our land use, or excuse me, not land use map, the staff map, the one I was talking about earlier that has your 4 maps on there, it shows an existing zoning of that map right there. Mm-hmm. Existing zoning. Property we're talking about is outlined. I'm going to use the top right corner zoning map for my references, for my questions there for you. The property we're talking about tonight is outlined in a blue square and RLD right there, correct?
Yes.
All right, so property to the right of it, that's in yellow, and a property above it in yellow, what is that zoning?
Residential high density, the same zoning that's being requested for this parcel, but this one is capping the density. So where those are apartment complexes that could go up to technically 16 dwelling units per acre, this one is capping it at just over 9.
So this property is asking for the same zoning as the 2 parcels right beside it, but capping it so it can't be as dense as what they are?
Exactly.
Okay. The road that's back here, I asked you earlier about the right-of-way that's on Jones Road and the improvements of that road. I know a concern was brought up about encroaching on the adjacent lady's property, and with that, is this road being built outside of existing right-of-way and condemning somebody else's property, or what's going on with that?
Absolutely not. So this is an existing right-of-way that was always intended to continue. I'm not sure what happened back a long time ago that it wasn't constructed, but the fact is it was always intended to continue. In fact, on the lower right-hand side, you see that dashed gray line. That's on our CTP. So that is a collector road. So they are actually required by our comprehensive transportation plan. Any project building along this frontage is required to construct that road.
Okay, so it's not going outside of the existing right-of-way, so it's not going on anybody's property, it's staying on the right-of-way? Mm-hmm. Okay. When a road is built, the town, we have requirements for how roads are to be built in town, and that takes into account, somebody asked questions earlier about trash trucks and fire trucks. Life and safety is always one of our top concerns through these areas right there. Town standard roads take into account size of our trash trucks and fire department with fire department approval, or what's involved with that? Sure
they do. So these would be the town cross-sections, right? We have stipulated cross-sections for the various different uses. So this would be a local road. On the south side, at least, also it would have curb, gutter, and sidewalk.
So we'll have curb, gutter, and sidewalk added to it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Speaking of curb and gutter, Makes me think about drainage. I know a concern often with adjacent property owners is drainage, and that concern was brought up earlier. What, is there any existing drainage on this property over there?
Engineering director can probably speak more directly to that.
Where's Matt at? Matt can help us out. Matt, this being raw, undeveloped land, I'm assuming that there's no stormwater infrastructure there. What kind of stormwater infrastructure may or may not be installed?
Yes, Mayor, it looks like it is pretty raw. There is some existing storm drainage at the northeastern part of the property that they could potentially tie into, but they will still be required to comply with the state stormwater regulations, which will attenuate big storms and provide for water quality or treatment as well.
So they're collecting the whole water on site and then feed excess runoff into the storm drainage system out there at Judd Parkway?
Yes, sir. And
then correct and installing curb and gutter along Jones Road, that will then take into account stormwater runoff from that road?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There was some, speaking of that, Matt, it's probably your department, some environmental concerns with that. What rules will they have to follow that are town or state guidelines in regards to that?
So there aren't any environmental features on this property. There are no blue line streams. There's no buffer. There are no flood hazard soils. There are no environmental features that are regulated by the state on this property.
There's no environment. Okay. Who determines that?
I mean, so the developer will end up hiring like a licensed soil scientist to come out and see what kind of soils they have, to see if there are flood hazard soils, if there are wetlands. And so when they develop their plans, they'll have an existing conditions sheet that they'll develop, and the professionals that will go out in the field and determine what soils they have on site to determine that.
So when you say there's no environmental features on the property, really what you're saying is there's no floodplains, no creeks, no
and nothing protected.
We're talking about
nothing statutorily protected.
No wetland.
That is
no
correct.
Land that's wet or has any kind of water that's standing or anything like that that's recognized.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay.
This is probably a question more for Tracy, Public Works. Tracy, your department runs all of trash collection for Fuquay-Varina, trash and recycling. And I know we got a budget, so I got a public hearing later tonight with the budget, and we set fees regards to that. But my understanding has always been when the board is approving a fee for trash service, that fee is set up so that when a new user tacks onto it, that they are covering the cost of services there. We're not turning around having to increase fees on somebody else to service this neighborhood here. How will that affect our budget? Will we be increasing trash fees to collect on this neighborhood right here, or will they individually be paying their own fee?
Yeah, they would just take the standard fee that we adopted as part of the budget. We do review that annually to make sure that our costs are in line with what it's costing us to provide the service to the entire town, but that's assessed per user on an average for the entire town. So growth in and of itself does not add to that rate. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, which includes our cost of disposing of things and our cost of labor and that kind of thing. But simple answer is we basically calculate that on a per user basis, and so any one development coming in is not going to raise the rate.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, to add to that, as clarification, the primary drivers in that solid waste rate are cost of labor for solid waste collections, cost of capital equipment, i.e. sanitation vehicles, and cost of disposal. The per user rate, given the size of our system of about 17,000 customers, is there are economies of scale, so the addition of one neighborhood is not going to be a driver in the solid waste fee. It's the cost of labor, cost of equipment, and the cost of disposal.
Thank you, Mark. Any other board moving into obviously questions and board discussion. Any questions, comments, discussion from board members?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I guess as we're talking about high density and low density, even if there was a low density developer to come in, would that same Jones Street and Jones Road still have to be produced?
Definitely.
Okay.
Tony said, did I hear what Brian asked right now? Any development done there will require that road to be built and
That is
upgraded?
correct. Right. A site plan or subdivision would trigger compliance with the comprehensive transportation plan, which lists that road as a required connection.
Okay. Any further questions, Commissioner Haynes?
No, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, any questions?
No questions.
Or comments? I understand always the concern when something adjacent is being developed to somebody, and I fully understand those concerns, and I understand what we can and cannot control in regards to Fuquay standards and state standards right there. And I do feel confident that you have, Director Davis, along with other staff members, answered my questions confidently right there in regards to it. And so we'll entertain any further discussion by board members, or we'll entertain some kind of motion.
Mr. Mayor, I like to give my thoughts before making a motion, and what's not fun is being up here and having to make a decision, and we've got folks that are, opposed to the project that's in front of us. And I kind of try to think about if there is anything we can do or offer, but when I look at this, number one, it's private property, and if the property owner decides they're going to sell it, we can't tell them not to sell it, and they can sell it to a developer to develop. When I look at this, what's reasonable, on one side is the single-family neighborhood, but then on the other side are the apartments. So just looking at it, the townhome development seems like a reasonable transition. Jones Road, that's a long-term plan, and the plan is to connect it. I understand we run into this multiple times where we are connecting stub roads through, and you're used to that not being connected, and I understand that it's going to change things. What we hope is looking at the entire community. There might be, for instance, someone in the single-family home neighborhood would be able to drive downtown Fuquay without getting on Judd Parkway. So there'll be some advantages to help Judd Parkway. That works both ways. I'm glad to see that on the site plan that the existing trees, some of those will provide some screening, and I'm glad to see that the developer is going to do everything they can to preserve it. So I really don't see a valid reason to not approve what's being put forward. I think they've put good conditions on it, and I think what they're showing us as far as the elevations and the plan, I think, is a good plan. Inside Judd Parkway, we have looked at as an area that we want to do higher density development, because this town, we've got lots of different development that we're doing, single-family homes, we've got mixed-use development, commercial, et cetera. Inside Judd Parkway, I think it makes sense to try to do a higher density development. On the north side of Judd Parkway, we've done a lot of multi-story buildings, mixed-use apartments, really high-intensive stuff. On the south side, we haven't been as intense. The townhomes, I think, are a good use of this. I don't think it'll be overly burdensome for the area. That's just kind of where my thoughts are. I wish we all agreed, and sometimes we just can't, but with that, I will make a motion to approve it. Motion to approve REZ 2024-13, a zoning map amendment for 305 Jones Road from the residential low-density zoning district to the residential high-density conditional zoning district, and the corresponding land use plan amendment from the town residential classification to the multifamily neighborhood classification, as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, item 7B, zoning map and land use plan amendment, Malden Watkins Surveying, PA-207 Railroad Street, REZ-2025-03. More information about agenda item will be presented by Planning Director Davison. Pam, you can be busy tonight.
Yep. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a requested zoning map amendment for a total of .381 acres located at 207 Railroad Street from the residential medium-density zoning district to the general commercial conditional zoning district and corresponding land use plan amendment from the town center residential classification to the suburban commercial classification. The proposed conditions will serve to limit future uses. Although the requested zoning map amendment is not consistent with the 2040 Community Vision Land Use Plan classification of town center residential, the petitioner has opted to request a change of the land use plan to suburban commercial, which is compatible with the property's existing use. The requested zoning district also supports the land use plan's goal to encourage infill development and redevelopment inside town limits, to encourage commercial development, and to manage future growth in priority infrastructure areas. At its regular meeting on May 19, 2025, the Planning Board unanimously recommended approval. The suggested motion tonight is to approve REZ 2025-03, a zoning map amendment for 207 Railroad Street from the residential medium-density zoning district to the general commercial conditional zoning district, and corresponding land use plan amendment from town center residential classification to the suburban commercial classification as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff. I'm available to answer any questions.
Now this time. Thank you, Director Davison. Hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment and land use plan amendment?
Good evening, Mayor, Board members. I'm Wayne Malden with Malden Watkins Surveying here at 139 North Main Street in Fuquay. And we put this rezoning petition you're looking at tonight together. Basically, we're looking at the site that the town's old water filtering plant's been on since the 1940s. When we got to looking at it, the business to the north, or the Pooch Pad, is looking to expand. They have now purchased this site. We found out it was zoned as residential. I don't know how it got zoned residential, being that in my lifetime it's never been used for any kind of residential use. So what we're here tonight for is to request a rezoning so that they can be allowed to expand their existing business next door. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
You've been here a long time, too. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment and land use plan amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment and land use plan amendment? Hearing is now closed. Any discussion by the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board? We're going to entertain a motion so moved, or anything else.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve REZ 2025-03, a zoning map amendment for 207 Railroad Street from the residential medium density zoning district to the general commercial conditional zoning district, and corresponding land use plan amendment for the town center residential classification to the suburban commercial classification as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 7C, zoning map amendment Raleigh Smiles LLC, 834 Wilbon Road, REZ-2025-04. More information about agenda item will be presented by Plan Director Davison.
All right, I'm submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a requested zoning map amendment for a total of 1.3 acres located at 834 Wilbon Road from the residential agricultural zoning district to the residential medium density conditional zoning district. The proposed conditions will limit future development to single-family homes, allow for only one shared driveway off of Wilbon Road, and provide specific architectural standards ensuring the proposed uses fit the character of the area. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the 2040 Land Use Plan and supports the Land Use Plan's goals of managing growth in priority infrastructure areas. At its regular meeting on May 19, 2025, the Planning Board unanimously recommended approval. The suggested motion tonight is to approve REZ 2025-04, a zoning map amendment for 834 Wilbon Road from the residential agricultural zoning district to the residential medium density conditional zoning district, as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff. I'm available to answer any questions.
Was there a house on this property that burned?
That I don't know. I'm sorry. There is not now. But I'm not.
Yes, it burnt. Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking about the right property.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment?
Good evening again, Mayor. John Adcock, the Adcock Law Firm, 202 East Academy Street. This property is surrounded by RMD CZD zoning, which is what is being requested as a part of this rezoning application. There's no land use amendment requested. As the planning director indicated, the requested rezoning is consistent with the existing land use plan. There was a home on that property that did burn several years ago. This is a redevelopment of that lot, and as indicated by staff, there's a use restriction that it's single-family homes only, which will be consistent with the surrounding uses. There are significant conditions, including the use condition as well as architectural and anti-monotony standards. We had a neighborhood meeting several months ago, and no one attended. Each of the subdivisions surrounding this property were given notice, the required notice, and also their homeowners associations. As stated in the staff report and the application, this rezoning application is consistent with the land use plan and is in the best interest of the citizens of Fuquay-Varina. I'm glad to answer any questions, and the applicant is here as well.
Thank you, John. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment? Hearing is now closed. Moving to discussion and pleasure of the board. And John Adcock's also lived in Fuquay-Varina for a long time, just like Wayne Malden has. Both of y'all probably went to high school together. Here, what's the pleasure of the board? Any board discussion? Entertain a motion so moved, or any other motion?
John's from Wilburn.
Yeah.
That's true. He is not officially Fuquay-Varina, but he did go to Fuquay-Varina High School. Holly Springs address. I know that's a bad land over there. You gotta be careful. Bad land.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it's just amazing, you know, as a little kid going to Vassar Creek for all my life and just seeing the growth on Wilburn Road as it is now, and definitely seeing this property repurposed from many of us knowing what the state of property had been for many years. It's just amazing to see that the repurposing of this property. So it's it's a great project.
You want to make a motion so moved?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 7D, Town Code Amendment, Town of Fuquay-Varina, 2040 Community Vision Land Use Plan Amendment Number 1, CTA-2025-02.
I'm back.
Did I get a runaway, Pamela?
One more after this one. I'm submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents in the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a proposed text amendment to the 2040 Community Vision Land Use Plan, Amendment Number 1, that addresses several areas of improvement. The highlights of the amendment are the addition of language encouraging prioritization of commercial elements in the form-based districts, an update to reflect changes approved with the recent 2040 Comprehensive Transportation Plan, the mapping of designated open space areas to reflect all subdivisions that have been recorded since the approval of the land use plan, and added language to allow staff to automatically amend the LUP maps when new subdivisions are recorded to designate the platted areas as open space. And it's hard to see on this map, but 850 parcels have been added as open space. So these are pieces that are designated and recorded as open space when a subdivision is created, is platted. We like to pivot back on the land use plan to show those areas are now preserved and unavailable for future development. They are designated open space forever. At the May 19th, 2025 regular meeting, the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval of the text amendment as presented by staff. The suggested motion tonight is to approve CTA 2025-02, Amendment 1, an amendment to the 2040 Community Vision Land Use Plan as presented and recommended by management and staff. The text amendment improves upon the land use plan and is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for reasons identified by management and staff. I am available for any questions.
I think we'll hold a public hearing. Thank you, Pam. Hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the in favor of the Town Code Amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the Town Code Amendment? Hearing is now closed. Any discussion by the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board? Motion so moved, or any other motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7E, Town Code Amendment, Town of Fuquay-Varina, 2040 Comprehensive Transportation Plan Amendment Number 1, CTA 2025-03. More information about the agenda item will be presented by Plan Director Davidson.
Grand finale. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents in the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a proposed text amendment to the 2040 Comprehensive Transportation Plan Amendment Number 1 that addresses several areas for improvement. This amendment serves to both clean up inconsistencies and coordinate GIS map data and does not propose any material changes to roads, road classifications, or pedestrian accommodations from what was presented and approved in November of 2024. The proposed changes to the CTP document are summarized as follows. First, acknowledgement that the Wake County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan was adopted. There was a reference to a future adoption. Updating the corridor recommendations map, the recommended cross-sections map, and tables to accurately reflect GIS data. Update a few road sections that had been designated incorrectly or shown as an eliminated cross-section, and we added a cross-section in coordination with Holly Springs. And updating the recommended bicycle and pedestrian corridors map to accurately reflect changes made to the recommended cross-sections map that we were coordinating with GIS. The suggested motion tonight is to approve CTA 2025-03, Amendment 1, an amendment to the 2040 Comprehensive Transportation Plan as presented and recommended by staff. The text amendment improves upon the 2040 Comprehensive Transportation Plan and is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff. This is more nuanced than anything else, but I'm available to answer questions. Do you have any?
Thank you, Director Davidson. Hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the Town Code Amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the Town Code Amendment? Hearing is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and pleasure of the board. We can entertain a motion so moved or any other motion.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item we have is the consent agenda. What's the board's pleasure on the items on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve 8A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N.
Second.
As presented. Motion approved. As presented. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion, motion carries. Motion approved. Y'all silly. I guess we get a little silly when we have two people that don't show up to a board meeting, right? With 30 others, we get a little bit more.
We're having to work harder.
Had to work harder on that. Administrative reports, fiscal year 2025 to 2026, operating budget and 5-year plan. More information about agenda item will be presented by Town Manager Mitchell. Keep the laughs going, Manager.
I'll try to do my best. All right, thank you. We've sort of beat this dead horse quite a bit over the last few months, and I think that the board and the public have had a significant amount of opportunity to review the recommended proposed budget for fiscal year 26 and the 5-year plan. So I won't go into the full details of it. Those have been published and made available on the town's website. Just a reminder that on May 5th, the town's governing board did receive a presentation regarding the fiscal year 26 recommended budget. The 26 fiscal year budget video, budget ordinance, fee schedule, and book were posted on the town's website. And between May 5th and May 20th, the public had an opportunity to review the budget on the town's website, as well as offer any input or feedback, and this feedback has been shared with the board. This was both during a scheduled public hearing on May 22nd, as well as through the Let's Talk FV public platform. Just as a reminder, the recommended budget for the general fund totals $76,565,157. The budget maintains the current property tax rate of 35.8 cents per $100 of assessed value, and does not include any changes to the monthly solid waste fee, which remains at $23 per month to achieve cost recovery for sanitation, recycling, and debris collection services. Again, a complete fee schedule was also provided in your agenda materials as well as on the town's website for public inspection.
You said that the sanitation fee is not going up?
It is not going up. It is,
Okay.
it is
That's what I thought.
proposed, recommended to remain the same. The utility operating fund totals $34,386,973. The recommended budget includes a 15% increase in water and sewer base and volumetric rates. This is consistent with the comprehensive rate model study that was completed in fiscal year 25 for the town to generate the additional revenue that is needed to cover the cost of water supply, wastewater treatment, and debt service associated with major public utility infrastructure investments within the 5-year horizon. Additionally, the proposed budget does recommend an adjustment to the sewer system development fee to $4,845. This represents an increase of $355 for the sewer system development fee, and that's for 3/4-inch meters. There are other meter sizes that are adjusted proportionally based on the statutory required study that we conducted. We had conducted on our behalf. The water system development fee will remain at current levels. These adjustments are consistent with the fiscal year 25 system development fee study and are necessary due to recently added development-related sewer projects within the 5-year plan. The updated system development fee analysis was publicly posted for review for 45 days, and a public hearing was held on May 20th, as required by state statute. If adopted, the system development fees on new development will be set at the maximum allowed under North Carolina general statutes. The 5-year operating and capital plan are balanced. The 5-year plan does not identify a need for any future property tax rate increases. The plan includes the addition of personnel, capital equipment, and capital projects to match the pace of growth, and is consistent with the direction set by the town board at the strategic planning retreat and the town's 21 to 25 strategic plan. The 5-year plan also takes into consideration recommendations from various town master plans and studies. Additionally, that plan also anticipates the need for water and sewer volumetric rate increases during every year during that horizon to offset the anticipated supplier increases that we anticipate to receive, as well as to cover the debt service that is required for additional water capacity for system users. This is consistent with the utility rate model. Again, detailed information regarding the fiscal year 26 budget and the budget video, which I would encourage anyone to review if they haven't already. It's a great way to understand how the town is programming resources and reinvesting back into the community without having to necessarily get into the nitty-gritty of hundreds of pages of budget documents. The budget video really hits the highlights. But those 100 pages of budget documents are available online as well if someone did want to get into it. We've provided the URL on this slide right here, and they will be updated from recommended to adopted, assuming the town board adopts the recommended budget. The motion that is recommended this evening is to adopt the fiscal year 25-26 operating budget to include the associated budget ordinance, fee schedule, and 5-year operating and capital plan as presented and recommended. I'm happy to answer any questions that the town board may have, and I do again want to just recognize the finance department, Mark Stevens, our finance director, Katie Lum, our budget and fiscal manager, for the hard work done to help prepare for this evening.
Thank you, Manager. I appreciate you saying those words right there, because comments I'm going to make a positive on that, and I appreciate the hard work staff has done in regards to this budget right here. It takes a lot of time for the public that's watching, that's here or listening. This is not something that comes together overnight, but comes over a process of several months putting together a budget, and a balanced budget, and it shows the hard work, because citizens of Fuquay-Varina expect to see new things and the great things continue to happen in Fuquay-Varina, but they also want to keep their expenses under control. And we do recognize that it's an expensive time out there in the world right now, and it continues to get more expensive every day, just as we've all seen at the store, prices going up, but the same thing at Town Hall, we've also seen prices going up, and been able to deliver a recommended budget and the budget that I believe the board will be approving tonight, that is 0 tax increase. Makes a huge difference right there. Only an adjustment on water sewer, which is due to operational costs right there, no different than we've seen on any other expenses out there, as we all can relate with our home budgets there. Bringing in some new projects, some new equipment, and our citizens that continue to rate Fuquay-Varina as an extremely great place to live. We're providing those services and with our staff right there on what they need to continue that direction of providing that level of service on there. I think it means a lot. I think this budget checks off those boxes. You know, I think it's important for us to realize as we look to approve a budget tonight that has no tax increase. The best of my understanding is the county was proposing a tax increase, and I heard that they approved, the commissioners have already met and approved that tax increase. And so I think that shows, you know, working hard here in Fuquay-Varina to look after your dollars and how we can manage the budgets right there for you. And I know myself and every one of these board members up here's true plan is to manage the public's money as if it's their own money and making their own decisions with their own budgets at home. And so I'm proud of what we have here tonight for approval. Any other comments by board members, or we can entertain a motion so moved, or any comments you want to make? Or a different motion if you don't want to vote for the budget?
I would like to add my thanks to all the staff and individuals who have worked toward getting this before us tonight, and we really appreciate the work. It's a lot of work. Mayor Massengill, I move that we adopt the fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget to include the associated budget ordinance, fee schedule, and 5-year operating and capital plan as presented and recommended.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I can real quick, I again want to thank the town board for your vision setting on the budget process. It was critical for us to be able to have some vision and tone to work towards that process. I also want to just mention a lot of people had their hands in helping to develop the budget process. I did not earlier say Nicole Stevens, our Assistant Finance Director, but as we were developing this budget process, we were going through a transition where we were hiring a new Finance Director. Nicole spent quite a few, many hours, as well as with Katie and department directors going through the budget details to help develop it, and so I would be remiss if I did not mention her name as well.
Namecole deserves recognition too. Like you said, it's hard to, there's so many names that are of staff members that are involved with the budget, and when you start naming them, you're exactly right. And it takes a lot of time for staff to go through. And a lot of times, you know, board members and conversation you've had and direction on that, and then staff to be able to carry out those plans right there. So thank you for bringing her up. All right, you got a budget. Don't spend it all until July 1. Can't spend it till July 1. Administrative Report 10B, order to levy and collect taxes in Wake County. More information on the agenda will be presented by Finance Director Stevens. All right, Mark, it's your first time at the podium.
Yeah, I'll always screw these up, so I'll try not to mess with that too much. But good evening, Mayor and council members. Now that you have adopted the budget and set the tax rate, this resolution is to authorize the Wake County tax collector to collect the town taxes. I think you've had a long-standing relationship with the Wake County Tax Collection Department. Their fees remaining the same. And the motion tonight is to adopt the resolution authorizing the Wake County Tax Administrator to levy and collect real and personal property taxes on behalf of Fuquay-Varina for the fiscal year 2025-26 budget year.
What does, and this is for the public, in the past, it allows your tax bill to go out with Wake County's bill collected at one time, and then Wake County collects the money and sends it back to us right there. What does Wake County charge for these services?
It is 0.75%, so less than 1%.
Yeah, pretty good processing.
Yes,
fee right there.
Comparison-wise, yes.
Okay.
And they have a very, high collection percentage as well.
Since it's going out to county bill, that's exactly right. Mm-hmm. And then we've seen it's very few people that don't pay their taxes, but the ones that don't get liens on their property and it gets sold, and that gets paid eventually.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. We entertain a motion so moved, unless there's any comments by board members. No questions?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Y'all getting your fair share of motions tonight and seconds tonight, aren't y'all? Item 10C, fiscal year 26 pay grade and position classification schedule. More information about agenda item will be presented by Human Resources Director Moody. Wendy,
Hi.
good evening. You don't get to come up here much either.
I don't, but that's okay. We're doing great things behind the scenes.
That's right. I agree with you.
I appreciate having the opportunity to come before you tonight. Let me grab my thing here. So tonight, we're going to consider the adoption of the revised pay grade and position classification schedule for fiscal year 26. The schedule was updated based on recent townwide pay and classification study performed by Piedmont Triad Regional Council. New positions are created, and they must be assigned a pay grade and added to the personnel classification system. So included in the fiscal year 26 budget was 14 new positions. 12 were with the general fund and 2 the enterprise, so that will bring us up to 397 FTEs for fiscal year 26. And just on a side note, when I started in 2019, we had 205. Good. So we have grown tremendously in the almost 6 years that I've been here. Compensation is based on comparison of duties and labor market. Salary data, pay classification, and compensation schedule must be approved by the town board each year. The whole purpose of having this is to have a legal and sound compensation system as a guide for us to go by, and it's definitely a morale booster for our employees as well. So the fiscal note, funding for all positions were included in the fiscal year 26 budget. So tonight, the suggested motion is to adopt the fiscal year 2026 pay grade and position classification schedule as presented and recommended. Available for any questions that you may have.
Any questions for staff? No? We can entertain motions to move.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Motion carries. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
All right. Other business. 11A, manager's report.
Just a few things to advise the board of this evening, outside of what was already included in your agenda materials. Just want to inform you that Brian Williscroft with the police department has advanced through the career ladder and obtained master officer designation with the police department. And Mary Alexander has also progressed through the career ladder and obtained a telecommunicator 3 designation. So want to thank the board for continuing to invest in career ladder opportunities for our employees and our police department, and certainly officers and civilians are certainly taking advantage of those opportunities to advance in their career. The 8th Citizen Police Academy has recently concluded with 19 citizens graduating from this program, and this continues to be a very positive and successful program, continuing to extend the olive branch between police department and residents in our community who have an interest in the great work that our police department is doing and how the police department operates. So we want to thank the police department and our citizens who participated in that police academy cohort this year for their great work. As it pertains to the fire station number 4 hosted the opening ceremony for the Flags for Heroes, which is presented by the Fuquay-Varina Rotary Clubs. This was this past Monday, May 26th, Memorial Day, and they will host the closing ceremony on Saturday, June 14th. A great venue. In the past, this has been at the courtyard in front of the police station, and this year we switched it up a little bit and did it in fire station number 4 with great visibility along NC 55, and those American flags look great as you're driving down 55. Using the Flags for Heroes as a backdrop, Fire Station 4 was also the host site for the 2025 Military and Public Service Celebration on Wednesday, May 28th. And this annual event celebrated Fuquay-Varina High School and Willow Spring High School seniors enlisting in the military, highlighting their service branch choice, followed by a light reception. And we certainly want to thank those young men and women for their dedication to serve their country. The fire department's 100th anniversary planning committee has tentatively set a date of Saturday, November 15th for a community event to celebrate the important milestone in the department's history, 100 years old. More information will follow in the coming weeks and months on the planning of that event. Captain Sean Freeman, firefighter Joe Thiem, and firefighter Andrew Spain recently attended the First Due Operations Conference in Carolina Beach, where they participated in 3 days of intense hands-on training from nationally recognized instructors on advanced engine and ladder company fire ground operations. Very important skills for these firefighters and for our personnel to have as we continue to grow as a community. Our structures are continuing to change and become larger, and being able to be prepared for unforeseen events is important in our community. Helps to save lives. The Art Center summer camps are quickly filling up at the Art Center, but there are a few spots still available if you know of anyone, any families that are interested in signing up for summer camps at the Art Center. And likewise, summer classes are available online or in person at the Art Center. The annual Independence Day celebration will be held on Tuesday, July 1st at South Park. Gates open at 6 p.m. Heads Up Penny, the band Heads Up Penny will be performing with fireworks at sunset, which we think will be in the 9:30-ish time frame. Fall youth sports registration open today for in-town residents. Non-resident registration will open on June 16th. And while registration will continue through June 21st at 5 p.m., residents are strongly encouraged to utilize the resident priority registration period as capacity is expected to be limited. Our streets department is working with our communications department to replace banners at town facilities, a project that we've been working on for a period of time here. Tiffany Marchman, our purchasing manager, recently obtained certification as a North Carolina purchaser through the North Carolina Procurement Academy. So we want to congratulate her on that professional development achievement. Kyle Price was promoted to distribution crew leader in public utilities. The waterline replacement project on Main Street is still on schedule to be completed before the 4th of July, which many will be excited about. In our inspections department, Stephen Kerbinsade passed his first level 2 certification in plumbing. So we want to congratulate him on that. He is now a level 2 inspector, and we have issued, we continue to issue strong single-family permits and seeing growth in the month of May. The engineering department has received federal funding authorization from the Federal Highway Administration to proceed with construction of the Austin Ridge Greenway Trail. The project consists of approximately 2,000 linear feet of greenway and connects the Austin Ridge Park to Bass Lake Park in Holly Springs. We'll be presenting a recommendation for award to the town board during the July meeting, and construction is currently scheduled to begin in September and is expected to take 12 to 18 months to complete. And as it pertains to our planning department, this school year, long range, I had reported a little earlier that long range planner 2, Allison Wiley, had served as one of the advisors for the Fuquay-Varina High School GIS Club. I'm pleased to report to you tonight that their annual project that they chose, that the club chose, was to catalog sidewalk quality and potential hazards in a few select locations within the Judd Parkway Loop. In total, the club collected 66 data points. Last week, the students presented their findings here at Town Hall to staff members of the Planning, Engineering, GIS, and Public Works departments. Staff provided feedback on how data could be used in a real-world scenario, as well as how the students could refine their collection methods if they chose to continue the project into the next school year. And so staff was impressed with the students' enthusiasm, their overall skills, and we look forward to working with the club again next year. And I think this is just a sign of how not just our police or our fire department engage the youth in our community, but we've got other departments in our organization engaging the youth in our community about how local government serves our community. And so this is a great way to expose the great work that our employees do to serve our community. So I'm very proud of that, very proud to report that to you this evening. Additionally, I want to remind the board that there will be only one meeting in the month of June, so no meeting on June 17th. There's a Coffee with a Cop scheduled at Chick-fil-A, a fan favorite. This will be on Wednesday, June 4th from 9 to 10 a.m. Continuing on in the agenda, we also have the Chamber of Commerce, very popular Run the Quay event. This will be Saturday, June 7th, this Saturday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Additionally, the Arts Center will be the host site for Manifest. Fuquay-Varina presents a full day of events. Saturday, June 21st, the Generational Wealth Fair will happen from 10 a.m. to noon. STEM Fest will be from 1 to 5 p.m. And Dasana Hanu presents Saints and Aints at 7:30 p.m. As well, the Arts Center will be the host site for the Manifest Fuquay-Varina Juneteenth Encore celebration. This is a presentation of Freedom to What on Thursday, June 19th at 7 p.m. So we encourage anyone in the community interested to participate and come on out. Again, I'll mention that our Independence Day celebration is at South Park July 1st. Gates open at 6 p.m. You'll want to be there on time to get a good spot. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my remarks for this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions that the town board may have.
Questions from management? No? Okay. Thank you, Manager. All right, here. Commissioner Adcock, any comments?
No comments.
The first person didn't have any comments either.
Same comments as the first.
Next one doesn't have any comments either. Commissioner Haynes, any comments?
Yes, one, Mr. Mayor. I just want to send my condolences to the town of Smithfield. I attended Councilman Marlon Lee's funeral today, who died unexpectedly on their town council at 51 years old, who never let me live up that he won his 300th win against Fuquay-Varina High School this past year, and his daughter was the person who shot the three-pointer to win his 300th game. So there was at least 400 or 500 people attending his funeral today. And so many people spoke so highly of him with his career of coaching at Clayton High School and being on the Smithfield Town Council. So definitely send condolences to the mayor and the council there.
Thank you, Commissioner Haynes. Mayor Pro Tem, any comments?
Well, it's a pretty big night. I mean, we approved that budget, and it's just kind of, it had those dancers. It was just an amazing night. But I am really pleased with the outreach of our town departments to that next generation coming up here at our high schools and our middle schools. I think that is so amazing, and it's just going to be a win-win for everybody involved.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. All right. Town Manager, I believe we have a closed session tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I'm recommending closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A3, attorney-client privilege, A6, personnel, and A5, contracts.
Motion to move to closed session. That's so moved, please.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. We'll go to closed session.